And,
Yes.
and you needed that unconditional, ongoing love that was there for no good reason, whether you were a stimulating partner or not. And you weren't.
True.
But you were blessed by it. You have become more because of it. And now you're in a good enough position to feign arrogance to say, I deserve such and such and such and such, you see, which you wouldn't have had the nerve to do 20 years ago. I want you to just abide with what I've said. I want you to dare to abide with Bob. I want you to dare to be in the silence with him, feeling for the communion that is going on between the two of you, because it's quite full.
It's very subtle, though, because I haven't picked that up yet, but I'll pay more attention.
It is. It's subtle because you're not used to giving your attention at that level. It's like when you first hear your guide, you need to be, it is so subtle that you need to meditate or to become quite still. And once you become familiar with it, you can talk to your guide in the middle of a mall or in the middle of a crisis. So yes, it is subtle only because you are not used to giving your attention there.
Is it that basically the love that I can allow Bob to feel, basically something he's truly not had from all of his family and his prior relationship, that he's been sort of like, kind of like starved for this for all of these years?
Exactly.
That's kind of sad.
Yes, but don't become overwhelmed with sadness.
I know.
It's like moving into a house that has a swimming pool, and he says, man, this is the first time in my life I've had a swimming pool. Oh, you mean you've gone through your whole life without a swimming pool? How sad. Well, if the swimming pool is there and he has it, then don't waste your time feeling sad about the time he didn't have it. You see? It's clicked with you. You've gotten it.
Do you think that he'll pick up on this pretty quick?
So that you can get on with stimulating conversation?
By then, I hope I won't give a rip.
I promise you that when you begin to feel the fullness of the communion, you'll say, I hope this never ends. I hope this never ends. Okay.
Thank you, Raj.
You're welcome.
I love you a lot.
I know. I know. We will take a break. The gentleman at the table.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I know now why I got to myself, because I wanted to learn how to be closer to people, and I was too good at thinking, and I couldn't be close to people at it. The only trouble is that instead of it, my getting closer to me, I don't see people as much because I can't do it so much. So what can I do to change it so I can know people better?
Maximize every opportunity you do have. It's like the old saying, what you appreciate appreciates or grows. And so instead of being distressed because you don't have more opportunities, take advantage of the opportunities you have. Appreciate the opportunities you have. Make the most of them. And that's what causes a spontaneous increase of opportunity. You see? It's a very simple principle. Even if you're alone with your wife, maximize the opportunity for being close. When you do get out and meet with friends, even if it isn't a large group of friends, maximize the opportunity. Appreciate the opportunity. I promise you, it's a law that what you appreciate appreciates. It is a law that works in reverse. If you appreciate conflict, you'll have more conflict. If you appreciate peace, you'll have more peace. It is God's will for you to be whole, whether you have learned every lesson you need to learn or not. And I want you to remember that. It may be one thing to realize that you had something to learn, and the problem has brought that to your attention. But I do not want you to think that you cannot experience complete healing until you have really ultimately learned how to be close with people. It's God's will for you to be whole now, regardless of how many lessons or how many needs still remain unfulfilled in your growth, in your development. And I don't want you to forget that. Else you are likely to say, well, I'm not completely well yet. I must have more to learn. And thereby you will justify not being totally healed yet. It's God's will for you to be whole now. Now, I will have to admit that if you are a stubborn person, it may take an infirmity, it may take a real problem to get your attention. But your attention has been gotten. Okay? So this infirmity does not need to persist and persist and persist.
It seems that every time I make a move in a direction, somebody else goes bad, and I don't seem to get ahead totally.
Well, just because a remodeling job is occurring, in which things you hadn't anticipated uncovering have been uncovered, doesn't mean you're not making progress.
Oh.
Persist with the remodeling.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's always another way to look at it, whatever it is. And you can look at it in a way that beats you down into the ground and depresses you and enervates you, or you can look at it in a light that keeps your interest and your curiosity alive, and that keeps you keeps you at the remodeling until it's done, and you can rejoice at how much more complete the job was than you had intended in the beginning.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You're always making me going ahead, aren't you?
Always.
Thank you.
And if you invited me in as constantly as Paul, you might not be any happier than Paul is at always being pushed ahead a little bit.
Thank you.
You are welcome. As for Paul, it would at times it would be nice if he only had to talk with me whenever somebody held a gathering, and he could go to it and talk to me. You see, then he'd have time off for himself. But but the opportunity to be bigger than you are is always where you're standing. And it's good to remember that. The opportunity to discover the more of you that's available to you is always present with you where you are. There is no closed door, is what I'm saying. There is never a closed door. And I don't care whether you're in the gutter or whether you're in your office at work or whether you're in bed with your wife or cleaning the dishes. You're always standing at the point of having the more of what you are and the more of what you're doing reveal itself to you. And if you remember that any moment is the best moment to open up to the more, you'll approach what you're doing differently. And you'll have a new experience. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's been the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom since the beginning. Forever, actually. So, there just isn't any justification for not being curious to receive more of it. Because the gift is forever given, is forever being given. And the opportunity to heal, to improve, to experience greater freedom is ever present in the moment of conscious experience that you are in. You don't have to wait till the next gathering. You don't have to wait till you get the new book at the store. You don't have to wait until you've found the greatest website on the internet. As I said, all of you ought to be a little radical and read your Kellogg's cereal box. Just on the chance that reading it might be an enlightening experience for you, because you're letting it be more than you thought it would be. I mean, you can wake up with a light touch. It doesn't require being studious with thick metaphysical books. You see? Okay. Hands. We lost the lady in the red turtleneck here.
I'm having trouble figuring out how to phrase the question.
Let's get the microphone over here.
What I'm wondering is what you would want to tell us about the global situation right now as far as extraterrestrial involvement and earth changes and what's coming up.
What is coming up in those regards is far less interesting than what is happening generally in the minds of men and women. You've passed the millennium mark, and whenever there is a dividing line, it's always a time that seems full of potential, wonderful positive potential and awful negative potential because of the way the ego works. It's a time that individuals can consider dramatic new things happening in their lives. And that attitude is not bad. But because there's always attending that attitude around a dividing line, a fear of the negative that can happen, it's a conflicted state of mind that is only resolved by the relief of getting past that dividing line and finding that nothing happened of any significance. Do you see what I'm saying? Having passed the millennium without any incredibly wonderful things happening and no incredibly terrible things happening has released you from the tension of expectation and fear that preceded it. Now, generally speaking, globally, everyone is expectant, everyone has hope, and there is a significant lessening of fear, globally speaking. We're also getting closer to the time of awakening, which is not, well, I will put it this way, it is within a decade. Now, this is because it's like the dominoes have already started to fall. And awakening is going to be happening more spontaneously than it is going to be happening because of serious work that each of you is doing in terms of your spiritual growth. And so you're going to be finding yourselves not only willing to embrace more, you're going to find more presenting itself to you to embrace. So there's going to be less effort to it. Now, at the same time, globally speaking, you're going to find those who are very entrenched in ego dynamics fighting for or determined to maintain more control, because movement is going to be becoming more spontaneous. The movement of good is going to be more spontaneous. It's going to be out of people's control. And those who are control freaks are going to be scrambling to secure their solid footing in control. And so you're going to be hearing, threats of skirmishes, sword clanging, and I encourage you not to be distressed by it. There simply isn't going to be any Armageddon. Not socially, not emotionally, not geographically, and not in terms of earth changes. You are in a period of dynamic healing. And the evidence of healing is not trauma. And so no matter what you hear from apparently viable spiritual sources, that catastrophes of different kinds are inevitable, are inevitably a part of the end of illusions, don't believe it. The process of disillusionment is a process in which the potential and the possibility of trauma diminishes. So, as I said earlier, what you appreciate appreciates. So if you appreciate trauma, you will create it for yourselves. But it's not because it's part of the program. And to tell you the truth, the efforts over the next 10 years at greater and greater control are going to fall flat on their faces, are going to fall flat on their face. The efforts at control are going to be less and less successful. And the spontaneous unfoldment of intelligent good is going to be like a flood that just fills up all the spaces. It's just going to be more and more impossible to be a personal authority, making things happen in the world the way the ego thinks it ought to happen. So it's like everyone who's tried to be rich, and nothing has worked out. Well, those who are trying to be in control, it's just not going to work out. And those who are finding the value of quiet communion of love with their spouses and with their friends and with their business associates, who are learning to listen for the bond that exists between everyone, more than they're listening to the chatter of conflict that's on the TVs, they're going to find this time to be marvelous. And they're also going to be contributing to the ease with which everyone succumbs to peace and love and the Father's will. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's the Father's will for you to be in conscious possession, you might say, of all that He is being infinitely. All that God is your birthright as your conscious experience. So when you say thy will be done, or you say succumb to the will of God, it means yielding to the totality of what you are and what the Father's intent was in expressing Himself as you. It's good news rather than a loss of power and a loss of control. So, healing is always evidenced as increased and increasing harmony. Everybody knows when they've had a healing because they feel better, right? The headache's gone. The hip isn't bothering you anymore. You can walk freely. You can kneel down and get up, and you didn't have to do it carefully. Everyone knows what healing is. And it's not trauma, is it? It's not discomfort. It's not limitation. And this period of time that you're entering into is a period of healing. Another way of saying it is that it's a period of wholizing. You don't have to play into the bait that the ego presents, that your good is going to be accompanied with trauma. That the end of illusion is going to be the end of the world. And it's going to be cataclysmic. It just isn't so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hands. A gentleman with the sunglasses.
6 months ago, my wife made her transition, and I don't believe I've heard from her. And I'm wondering if you have any message for me from her and from you.
Like I was saying earlier about the quiet communion of love, she has been with you many times in that way, but not in a way where communication was allowed. You must understand that communication between those who apparently have passed on and those who have not is not possible unless the one who has passed on is awake. Except, and these are poor words, when permission is given because it fulfills some purpose. There has not been the kind of need that called for that kind of permission. But she has been with you on many occasions in a communion of love. I will tell you that she was almost immediately faced with what we could call a project. Something to do. She did not, so to speak, sit around adjusting to the transition, so to speak. It was almost effortless for her. And she has been very busy with this new endeavor or purpose that has been very engaging for her and very fulfilling. So she's not pining away at the loss of you and the children, but she hasn't forgotten about you. And there have been times, as I said, where this communion has occurred, even if you were not aware of it.